I started Fundstrat in 2014, and we created the firm to be a evidence-based research firm, but really taking that evidence-based institutional research and essentially democratizing it, making it available to a wider audience. And while at Fundstrat, I ended up looking at Bitcoin's price. I hadn't thought about it for years. And then I saw that it had risen by a factor of 10. And this is what I've known. I was a technology analyst starting in 1993. And I was originally a wireless analyst. I covered the industry from when there were 34 million cell phone users until 2007, when it reached over 4 billion. So I witnessed a hyper-growth industry. And one thing I realized was two things. One was nobody ever believed that wireless growth would ever get as big as it did, because at the time, cellular penetration was not even 1%. Today, it's 100%. Most people didn't think it would ever exceed 30% of the population because they couldn't imagine grandmothers or children ever using a cell phone. But I realized when I was in my 20s doing that work is that cell phones drastically transformed how people used communication. Like, as a young person, you don't have to leave messages on an answering machine and use payphones. You could actually just call people directly. So I saw this through my young eyes as a place where cellular was going to be quite big. And so we decided to say, look, whenever something goes from 10 billion to 100 billion of network value, you can't consider it a bubble. So we decided to really dig in and try to understand what was happening. And what we found was that Bitcoin's price from 2010 to 2016 was 93% explained by just two variables: the number of unique addresses, and by 2016 it was over 400 million roughly. But really, in terms of wallets, it was much smaller. And because many people have multiple wallets, and it was the second variable was just the activity per wallet, and that explained over 90% of the rise of Bitcoin. So then we realized crypto was just a network value asset, and the more work we did, we realized that blockchain, of course, was a really important solution to creating trust and really bulletproof trust between two parties. It was actually kind of a reworking of the financial system. So we were quite bullish on Bitcoin. In our first white paper we published, we had proposed that Bitcoin was around $1,000, that within 5 years it could get to 25,000 because we only simply had to see the number of wallets increase by 40% a year and the activity per wallet increased by 20%. And 5 years after publication, Bitcoin was around 22,000. So, of course, Bitcoin continues to actually follow what I consider to be network value properties.